Java plays an important part in Indonesia's history. It is the cradle of the Majapahit kingdom that spans from Aceh to the tip of Papua, and was the center of Thessalocracy that ruled the rest of Indonesia. The Javanese people have managed to spread around Indonesia, becoming the biggest ethnic group in Indonesia. With this, the Javanese culture, etiquette, and way of life bleeds into the different cultures of Indonesia. The trend of Javanese dominance continues in modern Indonesia, where power is centralized around the Java island. Naturally, with these conditions, politicians try to play the game with Javanese rules, so we get plenty of leaders that are Javanese themselves. But how does one become a Javanese leader? How can one manage to acquire power over the biggest ethnic group in Indonesia and seize control of the Indonesian government sitting in the west of Java? How does one embrace the concept of Javanese King? In order to become a Javanese king, one must understand the concept of power. Let's start by how the Javanese people view power. In Java, power comes from within. The Javanese call this kawibawan, and it manifests as a spiritual force or aura that a person possesses. This power is believed to come from a higher power or individuals that are spiritually enlightened. Depending on your faith, Javanese practices such as Kejawen and Weton might factor in how someone can attain that inner power. You might be born with it, or you might have to learn it. So different from the Western definition of power where it comes externally, power in Java is something that comes from within. The ability to exert power is contingent upon discipline and willpower because the Javanese believe that if one can control themselves, they can control others. And Javanese culture reflects that. It values restraint of the self through spirituality and ethics. The Javanese are known for their strong beliefs in the spiritual world and follow that everything is set in stone. This is similar to the Western philosophy of Stoicism. Both Kawibawan and Stoicism practices inner control or strength and promotes the assertion of one's own personal virtues they follow into the external world through a calm facet, though there are some key differences. Kawibawan is rooted in Javanese beliefs and is more mystical. The ideas are more connected to the notions of divine, favor, and cosmic power. Stoicism, in comparison, is more rational and focuses on reason and the workings of logic and ethics. While Kawibawan and Stoicism both emphasizes inner strength, self-control, and moral integrity, they originate from different cultural and philosophical contexts. Kawibawan is the idea that the world gives you shit, and that you must be resilient towards it in order to become stronger. Stoicism is the idea that you can follow logical and ethical consistency in your inner mind to give you the strength to be strong. After one has managed to control themselves, one can control others. And here is where the fun part begins. Culturally, the Javanese people are known for their very demure and very mindful approach towards life and people. The Javanese are a highly feudalistic society, so respect is given depending on what social status they hold. This naturally creates a society of people that communicates things in subtle ways and conceals their true emotions or feelings. The Javanese are similar to the Japanese. They build eightfold walls standing between their true face and the people around them, making them hard to read. And that is why Prabowo, or influence, is expected from their leaders. The ability to persuade or guide others is easy when one uses force or coercion. But the Javanese believe that true leaders are able to do just that without either force or coercion. This is because the Javanese value subtlety. They believe that true power is subtle and not always overtly displayed in fear of looking arrogant. You must conceal your intentions, trick them into reading the surface. Knowing people's true intentions is half the battle for power. Now, if you take a look at history, Sukarno, Suharto, and most recently Jokowi have never been seen overtly demonstrating their power. Their orders, no matter how horrendous it could be, have always been transmitted using more subtle forms of communication so that they can continue to look harmless and stainless. And obviously, because of their reputation, their more controversial orders are written off as belonging to someone else. Let somebody else take the blame. So once you've acquired influence through subtle manipulation and suggestion, you're on your way to become a Javanese king. The key is to understand how mind games work here, my friend. After you've acquired influence, it is time to acquire power. According to Ben Anderson's book, The Idea of Power in Javanese Culture, power doesn't have any bearing on morality. Whether you're good or bad, power is absolute, and you can use it arbitrarily once you are a king. In Java, life is a cycle controlled by an unseen force that positions anyone in the role that they are supposed to play. A peasant is born a peasant because he must be a peasant, and a king will be born a king because he is to play the role of a king, and not because he is the son of a king. With this logic, you can basically get away with doing anything as a king, for the universe has willed you to command over this earthly realm. Javanese politics and the acquisition of power has been codified forever in the history of Ken Arok and the kingdom of Singhasari. Ken Arok is the first king of Singhasari. This man was born a dirt-poor peasant with nothing to his name, until he was one day told by the local sage, who might or might not be high on cave mushrooms, that the universe has willed him to be king one day by marrying off his liege lord's wife. And so that prophecy led him to do some truly perverse things to his liege lord's wife, like peeping on her and looking at her legs and backstabbing his liege lord before seizing the throne. The treacherous and scandalous tale of Ken Arok and the creation of the Singhasari kingdom bled into the Javanese culture and set a precedent of how one should acquire power. That the ideal heroic king is not someone like Aragorn from Lord of the Rings, who heroically slew a horde of orcs, but rather the scheming and manipulative Littlefinger from Game of Thrones. So therefore, in Javanese logic, once the universe wants you to be king, you are excused from doing truly terrible things in the name of achieving your kinghood. If you are born a peasant and you're destined to be a king, you are excused from backstabbing, manipulation, corruption, blackmail, coercion, you name it, to make your way to be king just because the universe says so. But how exactly do you know that you're a king? Again, the preconception is that the universe has ordained you to become king. So what comes next is the legitimization of being king. The Javanese believe that the universe will tell you in ways that you are supposed to be king. Either they will make your work easier, pave a way to power, and have people tell you that you should be king. So this should be simple. And to strengthen the legitimacy, you must undergo rituals. There are many rituals one can undergo, such as reciting prayers and mantras led by pawangs to invoke divine blessings, or in Gen Z language, give you a buff. You can also receive what is called a wahyu, or a divine revelation that legitimizes your rule. And this divine revelation will open your eyes to climb towards power. Basically, the universe is going to give you a walkthrough before you actually start your playthrough. But these rituals often contain a deeper philosophical meaning to its practices. These Javanese people are obsessed with their ceremonies. Anyways, most of these rituals serve to create a bond between the king and the universe. The Javanese believe that the world is not a progression, but rather a cycle. Kings are not born to solve issues, but rather kings are there to play the role of king and maintain cosmic balance. These rituals serve as a reminder for kings that they are subservient to their roles and to send a clear message to anyone out there that you are king. In a way, this is how a Javanese king maintains accountability and moral integrity. They are accountable to the heavens above them, who would punish them through some uber bullshit divine intervention and to give them an incentive to always have pure morals, a concept called budi luhur. In modern Indonesia, these rituals include building monas or going into the sewers. So grab your rubber boots if you want to be king. Now, how does one finally become king? As the saying goes, act like you own the job to get the job. So a Javanese king understands human nature. The Javanese culture is primed to hide one's true intentions and thoughts, so understanding what people are hiding gives one an edge. Full control over this human nature can be brought through guidance or even manipulation. The thing about human nature is that we often do not understand what we want or what we need. We ask questions about ourselves, and sometimes we answer those questions too. The human nature is too complex, multifaceted, but a Javanese king is able to extract and compartmentalize a person's nature and understand exactly what they need to control them. Take, for example, Jokowi seized power by understanding that the division between the people and the political elite was too wide post-Reformation. The interests of the elites do not align with the people and vice versa. Jokowi understood that. He understood that Indonesia needed a leader to bridge the gap and to be someone that everyone could agree on. This is why Jokowi played the populist card. Most of his rhetoric puts high emphasis on a government by the people. Like everyone else, Jokowi was just an average person of no high standing, meaning that he was an agreeable candidate in a sea of blue-blooded politicians. And he finally became president in 2014, cementing his power for the next 10 years. Jokowi then moved for the next 6 years to neutralize any opposition to his rule. A good Javanese king can build consensus above everyone, whether their ideologies match or not. Jokowi is an expert at this, but Sukarno is an even better player. A Javanese king stands above disagreement and must always be absolute through compromise. For power is absolute in the Javanese imagination, and even compromise can be seen as powerful. Sukarno understood and manifested this through uniting the communists, Islamists, and nationalists into one single body. The Weimar Republic had tried to do this for almost 14 years but failed. Sukarno maintained that unity despite the extreme differences people had for almost 21 years. The role of a Javanese king is to be the ultimate adjudicator in this regard. They're not beholden to any ideals or any principles. They're the judges of the higher power in this world and must maintain balance. And any intentions they must have it hidden, for they are the celestial representatives. Suharto is legendary in maintaining discretion. Suharto furiously played the card of a country bumpkin, having his compatriots belittle him, underestimate him. He was always part of the crowd and never expressed his ambitions to become king. He is unseen and beneath suspicion. The ideal Javanese king is one who schemes, and Suharto delivers. That's why nobody saw it coming when he ruthlessly seized power. But most importantly, to become a Javanese king, you must always maintain a pleasant facade. Sukarno is known for his contagious energy. Suharto always smiles at people, and Jokowi is known for his nurturing attitude. The point we can extrapolate from this is to always be kind and polite to everyone, even when you are friending them. If you're known for your pleasantness, no one will believe you to be evil or malicious. Sometimes, force is a steel fist and a velvet glove. And finally, to legitimize your power, always build monuments or make lavish ceremonies. Bread and circuses, the Romans said. The deal is to make sure people will never forget you and what you've left. You can distract the masses with the biggest city fair of the country to make people happy so that they will forget that the dollar value just went up. Or perhaps you can build a new capital to solidify your amazing legacy. Remember, being a Javanese king is all about the climb to power. Don't think about whether what you're doing is right or wrong. You are born a king, and your destiny is to be above all. So everything you do will be halal from now on. And good luck, people. See you on top.
Subscribe to the Based Indonesian Show. Jamin halal